The diet of the dry cows is the same as the cows that are about to calve, with the difference that the dry cows receive a little less protein, a little less carbohydrates, and more fiber.
And what are the ingredients?
Corn silage, soybean hulls, soybean meal, corn silage, straw bales, and slow-release urea. We also try to keep the diets. We make this transition with the same ingredients. The most important one is water. In the summer, if they need to drink from a pond, a lake, or something like that, it's difficult to ensure they have good quality water. So the main thing is that they have quality water, shade, and additionally to be able to control body condition and everything else.
Jesse sent a message saying that he won't be making videos anymore because you haven't subscribed to the Santa Fe channel. So subscribe now, and he will continue recording on farms around the world.
This is the group of dry cows. Another thing we do, and we try to simplify, is the feeding part. That is also the operational part of the feed delivery trucks and the amount of feed that is provided. We try to simplify as much as possible.
And here, what is the diet of the dry cows?
The diet of the dry cows is the same as the cows that are about to calve, with the difference that the dry cows receive a little less protein, a little less carbohydrates, and more fiber. And we add anionic salts, along with the feed supplement during the transition.
And what are the ingredients?
Corn silage, soybean hulls, soybean meal, corn silage, straw bales, and slow-release urea. We also try to keep the diets. We make this transition with the same ingredients. That is, we try to keep the ingredients as uniform as possible throughout the herd. For example, previously, dry cows were taken to pastures where they were on a grazing regime. We stopped taking them there, meaning we also keep them confined. This provides more control to offer shade to ensure they have fresh water. In other words, the main ingredient, the most important one, is water. In the summer, if they need to drink from a pond, a lake, or something like that, it's difficult to ensure they have good quality water. So the main thing is that they have quality water, shade, and additionally to be able to control body condition and everything else. Part of the change we made in herd management was, for example, to stop raising male calves. We try to keep everything under control, but we also ensure that we have the necessary animals. For example, in rearing, they have a part of pasture, but they also receive a lot of silage and concentrate. We try to have the heifers ready for insemination at 14 months, and between 23 and 26 months, they are already calving. And that's it. We try to have less replacement. I once read a study that mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, a reduction of 8% in the need for replacement for each month that we advance the pregnancy of a heifer. So imagine going from inseminating at 2 years old to having them calving at 2 years old. That greatly reduces the need for rearing for heifers. Yes, so all this part and the genetic part, we are trying to focus the genetic advancement on the younger categories. For example, until now we haven't done this on a large scale, but we already started in part a few months ago to carry out crossings with Angus or with T14 or other crosses, and we aim to keep the best replacements, which are usually the heifers. So we prefer to use the bulls we want on the heifers with sexed semen, pay a little more, and everything else that is beef cattle, either to raise here or to sell. This way we make the genetic leap in this direction. This is what I didn't mention before. Part of it involves embryos. The idea is that these heifers become future mothers. That is, to do embryo transfer with these mothers. This is the logic of having some top-notch heifers. We do genomics on these heifers. They are super ovulated. The embryos are collected. We choose the bull. And thus, one heifer can have 15, 20, 30 daughters. The genetic leap is enormous. For example, in the group of heifers, when we genotype all of them, this hasn't been done here yet, but when we genotype them all, let's say we have 100, we inseminate the best 50 with good sexed semen, and the 50 with lower performance can be used for transfers. So the entire new generation that is born is of high quality. Here, in the pre-calving cow pen, when they calve, we give them a drench with calcium and propylene glycol, and then they move on to another group, the group of newly calved cows. If the cow gets sick, she is monitored for 7 or 8 days, and if she is well, then she enters the production group to which she belongs. Normally, it's 7 days, something like that. It's a transition group that in reality is made up of few cows, about 15 to 20 cows. This transition group receives the same diet as the production group for the sake of simplicity.
And do you have many problems with hypocalcemia here?
Yes, usually with older cows there are problems. This can be resolved with anionic diets or with... It mainly happens when the cows are overweight, very old cows that got pregnant late, or that. But these are details that we are gradually correcting. Additionally, since the pre-calving group includes both cows and heifers, sometimes we decide whether or not to provide the anionic diet, depending on the proportion of heifers and cows present. For example, a few days ago there were 30 heifers due to calve, and I think 10 cows. And we decided not to give the anionic diet. Instead, we made a diet with less calcium and potassium, increasing the magnesium. And, well, for all the older cows that calved, we give them a calcium drench so as not to harm the heifers, so they start consuming well and don't fall behind. This is a bit complicated sometimes, not being able to create enough groups so that everything is as it should be, like in a manual. For example, the high production group also can't be taken to very high levels because we need to consider that newly calved cows enter this group. So for example, the current diet and starch are around 25%. We don't take them to 28% because of the risks that this might pose to the cows that just entered. Well, I took the course in 2021. I think it was in 2022. Actually, I don't remember exactly. I wanted to take it because I wanted to learn a bit more and see the technologies being used in the United States. Learn to use the NASEM and all the techniques involved. The truth is, it has been very useful for formulating diets and dealing with many aspects of management. How to read the feeders, assess barn capacities, formulate diets, and many other things that have been very useful to us. Formulating feeds for the calves, detecting symptoms in the cows when there's a problem. And well, it has allowed us to simplify many tasks, do everything more economically and increase efficiency, and also have many tools to assess how the cows are doing and make comparisons. For example, the efficiency of feed use, fat-corrected milk, or energy-corrected milk. And these are tools that I believe are very powerful to make this work. And at the same time, we have a group with whom we maintain a fluid dialogue, because the realities of each country are not the same. And many times when we see what we can improve or when we have doubts, we consult during the live classes. That's very good. Really, I encourage people to take it. It's technical work. There's a lot to learn. This is something continuous. You always have to study. It doesn't matter how many master's degrees you have or how many things you've done. You have to keep studying. And that seems fundamental to me, super useful.